チームの看板背負って死ぬ気で走ってくれ。シャレになんねえよ。たくさん上がってくるぞ。ロータリーサウンドも混じってる。
RX7, one of the most unique Japanese cars ever created. Its light chassis, strange body lines, and of course the crazy Wankel engine set it apart from the crowd. But it's not just the engine that makes it great. Typically seen on the track drifting, hitting the circuit, or drag racing, or off the track on mountain passes and doing highway pulls. It's versatile and ready for whatever you want it to do. Except for, like, rock crawling, of course. I stand corrected. The first generation RX-7, known as the FB, existed from 1978 to 1985. It had two engines, the two-rotor 1.1-liter carbureted 12A and the two-rotor 1.3-liter fuel-injected 13B. The 12A made 100 horsepower and 100 pound-feet of torque, with the 12A turbo making 160 horsepower and 170 pound-feet of torque. The 13B put out 135 horsepower and 130 pound-feet of torque. These engines were attached to a 4 or 5-speed transmission. The FB had amazingly good handling characteristics. It weighed 2,500 pounds, being the lightest RX-7, and had 4-link live axle rear suspension. The 50-50 weight ratio also put it at the top of its class for racing. The second gen FC was in production from 1985 through 1992. It only came with the two-rotor 13B, pushing different power levels. The NA engine ranged from 136 to 160 horsepower, with the turbo engine making 182 to 215 horsepower. It came with a few new suspension parts, including passive rear steering under heavy loads. Its body lines were heavily inspired by the Porsche 924. The third and most famous generation was the FD. It existed from 1992 through 2002. It also only came with the 13B, but only turbo this time, making 252 to 276 horsepower. It is widely regarded as one of the most balanced cars of all time. Perfect 50-50 weight distribution combined with low center of gravity and its drivetrain layout made it a monster on the track. The word that either makes or breaks the RX-7 community. For those who are uninformed, a rotary or Wankel engine is a strange engine. Instead of having pistons, valves, or cams, it replaces all those components with a rouleau triangle and a constantly firing combustion cycle. It has strokes of sort, depending on where you're looking at the engine. It begins with the intake, then compression, then ignition, and lastly exhaust as the gases travel around the pockets created by the triangle. This design is incredibly compact and incredibly powerful for its size. They can make insane amounts of horsepower modified. Torque doesn't keep up just as well. You can see that in the 787B race car. It has a 4-rotor making 700 horsepower, but only 450 pound-feet of torque. After the RX-8 was discontinued, it looked like the rotary engine was officially dead. However, Mazda did recently renew their patent on the engine design to be used as a generator in an electric car. Doesn't sound great, but according to some rumors, a Mazda executive has said that a rotary-powered sports car is in development. Love it or hate it, the Wankel engine is something unique and rare to find in a car. The RX-7 has been used in nearly every form of on-road motorsport. In the beginning, the FB was entered into many different 24-hour endurance races, including 24 Hours of Le Mans, placing 21st in 1980 and 14th in 81. They later scrapped the RX-7 in favor of the 787B, which then placed first. It also began to dominate in many touring car championships throughout Australia and Europe. In Australia, the RX-7 was introduced to rally with Group A regulations. Then when the legendary era of Group B was introduced, the RX-7 entered and actually managed to place 3rd in the Acropolis Rally. It has found great success in modern drifting with such cars as Mad Mike's 4-rotor Monster, and plenty of project cars at the track. Oh, and how could we forget about the legendary RX-7s of the Takahashi brothers?
Oh, すげえな。
LS swapping is considered to be one of the worst sins you can do to an RX-7. But why is it looked so down upon? To begin, swapping an LS in normally means you're getting rid of the old Rotary. Because these engines are so unique and rare, it's stupid to rip it out just to put an outdated V8 engine. Taking out the stock engine also ruins the entire balance of the car. It's made for a light and semi-powerful engine, not a relatively heavy, powerful V8. If you want a small car to swap a V8 into, take a look at Miatas. Also, an LS may be able to make a ton of power, but the stock Rotary can make plenty of power for its chassis. Also, any RX-7 purist will immediately hate you for that swap. The RX-7 brings something unique to the car scene that we haven't seen before and since, and needs to be respected for that. Its chassis is ready to tackle most of what you throw its way, and absolutely dominate the challenge, especially if it involves a corner. That's it for today's video. If you'd like to see more of the RX-7 I featured in this video, go check out my channel or follow Nico on Instagram. Thanks for watching.
Nico_Garduno.
There you go.
Yeah.
Go follow him. Shout out to Ian for filming.
What's up, man?